I'm loving this conversation. As Aizo has cued us into to start, he said everybody needs a Dolly part 6. The reason why Kendi couldn't talk about this next conversation alone on her CTA is because indeed she needed Dolly to be there. So now we can finally enter this conversation. I will first start by saying I have been behind the scenes watching one of the most amazing things that I've seen thus far this year, being birthed. I've met two amazing human beings and I've seen their hearts to birth something so amazing. And I'm even privileged to be part of the, to be used in a slight small way to birth this thing to life. So I want you guys to introduce the world, because this is beyond just the borders of Kenya, to Prosper Path. So I'll just hand it over to whomever of you will speak first.
So, our journey started with a financial conversation, and we've covered that. But as we've gone through that journey and looked around us and also explored what each other's strengths are, and also got grown to the level where we're saying what more or what next. Our what more and what next answer had to have impact connected to it. The season we are both going into, and it's interesting because, as I said, we started, teaching Kendi, and then we now are in a place where she gives, I give, she knows, I don't know, I learn. It's like it's a ping pong. But then the next for us is something we build together that outlives us, but in a way that has an impact beyond what we can individually do alone. Yeah. So I don't even know whether I don't think this was like so well defined. Maybe it's even coming out. We knew that was gonna be the thing, but we didn't know what it exactly was gonna be. So one day in December, I was driving to a wedding, a colleague's wedding, and we talk every day. It was a Saturday evening at 4:30 my side, and she's 3 hours behind. I told her, you're going to keep me company. I'm driving for, I think, 50 minutes from home to Limuru, where their wedding was. You keep me company. My husband had gone to Shags, and he was driving from Shags. In fact, I had stayed until 4 o'clock to see whether he's going to come in on time. Then we go for the wedding together. Then I realized there was no time I needed to go. So I told her, so you're my company until I get there. So we started talking and no more conversation. And I told her, this thing about money, there's basic things that people just need to be equipped with so that they prosper. They live an all-round abundant life. But then I know what I've been doing. I know what we have done together. But, that's a handful. How do we get it out to as many people as possible to access it? And how do we shout about it in a way that everybody gets to know that there's something we are not taught at school, but it should be taught, but it's not happening. And it determines how the rest of your life goes. And that's how you deal with money, your relationship with money. So we're just talking. Then I told her, you know what? Many years back, actually literally 11 years ago, I went to look at my emails. 11 years ago, I discovered that globally, different countries highlight the importance of financial education every April. So I shared it with her and told her, do you know this thing happens? Backtrack 1 or 2. Kendi called me, I think, in October. Was it October? October, September. And told me, you need to see this thing. It's Financial Literacy Month. in Ireland. Did you know? I was actually in South Korea when you sent me that message. So I looked at it, I said, no, Financial Literacy Month is not in October, it's in April. Then I think she was a bit surprised, or you know about this, but she's saying, no, it's in October. Then I was like, actually, I was like, why is she saying it? So then we realized, just like all the other celebrations, Mother's Day, Father's Day, the English do the things their way, and then the Americans and the rest of the world do the things their way. So the one I knew was April for Financial Literacy Month, and the one she was experiencing was October, I think it was October. It was October. Financial Literacy Month for Ireland and UK. So we're talking about the same thing, but we had different months to it. So in this, coming back to December, we're like, how do we make this a conversation here so that everybody talks about it? The way we talk about it every day. And why does it have to be this conversation you don't know who to talk to? You're uncomfortable about? Let's make it easy for people to talk about it. But for us to get there, it's awareness, 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 and then equipping, education, and then the conversations can flow. Then action to how do I move myself from level 1 to the growth that comes with education. So by the time I was parking my car in Limuru, Kendi and I over the years have dared each other in a conversation that just keeps escalating and grow. It gives birth to elephants. And then we go like, we can do it. Yes, let's do it. And we do it. This became one of those conversations. She said, let's do it next April. I said, this coming April, in 4 months. I said, oh, okay. Let's do it. Maybe not very seriously then, but by the end of 2-3 days after that, or that week, we were looking for a venue. We were looking for the speakers. We were creating it and saying, Kenyans need to have conversations about money, and these conversations need to be natural conversations because they're conversations about life. So I have been doing this whole financial education thing for all these years.
Just explain that, because people don't know that.
All right.
No, wait. Before she actually explains that, because there's a critical conversation you left out on that drive. I'll say it nicely. Don't worry. I know we're on camera. The reason that conversation came up, because we had spoken before, the October financial literacy bit, but that December, the reason it did, it's because our dear daughter, who had turned 18, had received, so she was calling me, the everyday conversation. So she's calling me in frustration. She's telling me, can you believe it? Our daughter has gotten a message, which she's now telling me a few months later, I didn't even know it had come, telling her, happy birthday. Then the next message, it's telling her, you have access to overdraft services.
Oh, to mobile loans.
Yeah.
Overdrafts.
Yeah.
Whatever, yes, without defining mobile loans, without defining the details of it.
I get it. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's calling me, she's like, this thing has found me
in my house,
in my living room. And she's telling me, by the way, because she didn't latch to it, because I've been working with her throughout, she knows what not to do. That is when we have the back and forth.
Yeah.
And we're like, so, Dolly, this thing we have been speaking about for years on, because all these years on, you should see the domains we've registered. We have even Pesa Tips. I would say
we stop paying for the domain subscription.
It's been years of different things, because we kept seeing the need. So it's been many years.
It was just not the time.
Yes, it was never the time before, because we would see the need, and we're like, and actually, I think I would help you understand what she carries so naturally as knowledge to her, because she's worked very closely with me in my financial journey, and then of course me as a single person, then me as a family person, then the family coming on board, me bringing my other circle for her to coach and everything. Then I would keep telling her, those things you say so naturally, and me, I hear them because we speak so often, and so you speak to them. Those are tips that if you actually, because remember, my mind thinks tech. Her mind thinks this personal finance.
Solutions.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm telling, and that's why, hence the domains. I'm saying this to say, hence the domains. So all these things, I'm like, do you know those tips? Can I help you package them? Then we just get a tech platform somehow. Then we send them to people, so that people are knowing. Hence, and the one I remember the most because we saw this. The
we
Pesa
started.
tips.
Yes, we registered one called Pesa Tips.
Pesa tips, you
Pesa tips. And only that. Yeah.
I think 10 years ago or something. I don't know.
It's many years
8, 9,
ago.
10 years ago. And we're
Yes.
like, we need to start telling people about this.
Just tips about money.
Yeah.
But anyway, so why December? Why that? It is because that message came to her living room, to her daughter. And then we, back and forth, we are like, if this has found you, Dolly, in your living room, knowing what it is that you know, how many other Kenyans find themselves in this situation, first for themselves as the adult, but also for the young children who are coming into adulthood and where we are leading with a culture of credit. Really, is that right?
So 11 years ago is when I realized that there was a financial literacy month being celebrated elsewhere. And then now we came to this conversation.
11 years ago
11 years ago.
is when you heard about the April month being the financial literacy month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I made contact with some of the organizations that were advancing it in different parts of the world.
No way.
And it just wasn't the time. And God has just revealed to us that this is the time. Because from that time, at least what I have been doing is the workspaces I've been in the 11 years I've had the 2 employers, GE and then Oracle, in April, and then outside even where I work, I would have workplace financial wellness workshops. So for me, it was like my way of, just doing the little thing I could do with the full-time job that I have to confirm that this April, some people need to hear about money. Even if I cannot reach everybody or many people, but we'll do that. But I want to go back to this conversation about this, what I call predatory marketing. Like you go and you're like a predator to somebody who is innocent and trying to get them to take an action that is not for them, but for you. What happened to me when I was 18, 19, 20? Most of or when I got into the workplace, at the first time, I think I was 23 or something. At that time, different days, and that is why the need is now and urgently now. These different times then, the thing that would be told is, first of all, there was no unsecured loans. They did not exist. So you only borrow what you can support. So it was either loans against payroll deductions, meaning you're first earning, and then I'll loan you, and then we know you will bring in money. But the situation last December was, you're going to someone who's still in school. They're not even earning, and telling them, congratulations, you now qualify. That's the difference between my existing into young adulthood and my daughter. The second thing is, after that, there was SACCOs. And you see the way the SACCO works is you first have to save. And I talk to young people about SACCOs, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for SACCOs to tell young people who they are. Because once I was in a forum where I asked, there were like, I think 600-700 children, 600-700 young adults. Young adults. Now they are my children's ages. Young adults. And I asked them the question, how many know what a SACCO is? If you know, raise your hand. I think 6 or 7, less than 10 hands in a group of 600 raised their hand.
Wow.
And then the one I picked to say what it is, the answer was shocking. They said they're pyramid schemes. I had not even gone to that function to speak about SACCOs.
You switched.
My conversation changed, and now I understand when people say the Lord has given me a different message. That day, the Lord gave me a different message. Because I was like, this thing that helped build my parents helped build my mom, helped then build me, is now being interpreted as something different, and it exists and it is powerful. Anyway, so when again we were coming into adulthood, my season, my period, you needed to go into a circle. You save for 6 months. So you start with a habit. Save for 6 months. Then after 6 months, you qualify for a loan. So that behavior of just deducting from your pay is education on its own, without shouting about it.
I get it.
Without shouting about it.
Powerful.
And all our parents, most of our parents were in circles. So even if they don't tell you at work, your parents will be like, umeingia circle. Yeah? You save for 6 months. So you have the habit of, I won't spend everything. Some of it needs to go into the circle. And then after 6 months, they say, if you have something, you come, you fill this form, we understand what it is, then you borrow. But for you to get 3 times, people have to guarantee you.
Guarantors, yes.
What does it mean? You're taught the value of social capital. And that your network is your net worth.
Yes.
Subtly, without good, nice vocabulary, fancy vocabulary, that is what we grew into. That was me at age 22, 23. My daughter at age 18. First public announcement to her about money. You can borrow. Yeah, so how I was introduced to money in my young years, emerging adult years, and how my children are being introduced to it. It's literally day and night. And whoever introduced me, institutions, parents, people, there was responsibility there. You could see they were responsible, and they were sharing a responsible journey. Now, it has no face. It has no. It is not somewhere. Here, I was filling forms, and then you take the form to the accounts office, and then they stamp somewhere. You know, there's a process. Even through the whole process, you're thinking like, should I do this? Should I do this? Here, it is right. You know, you're scrolling on TikTok and stuff. You're 18, 19, and then bam, you qualify.
Here you could be denied.
Here you could be denied. Here you and let me tell you one thing. I mean, I don't even understand the basis upon which this 18-year-old is being invited to borrow. For who to pay? Based on what? So in fact, at some point, I don't know whether it was Kendi or somebody I was talking to, I was like, you know, parents will end up paying for bills for their children because the children did not have information. But because now they are already in a problem, they have to sort that problem out. And it's not part of their financial plan, but you have to sort it out.
I interrupted Kendi before. You were talking about the tech. It's now on your...
Yes, and it is what she's saying. It is on your palm. It is on your hand. And you know, 2 weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, the regulator announced that right now there are 51 digital lenders who are approved. Meaning on this phone, there are 51 ways in which, in my sleep, I wake up, even at 2 a.m., or I'm somewhere having fun and money has run out, I can quickly click with nothing and be given money. With no one checking, what are you using this money for? With no empowerment of what, should you even be considering this money at all? And those are the 51 approved. There's 300 who are waiting.
Yeah.
So the tech aspect finds you in your home. You've done your job as a parent. For those who have, majority, they are not also equipped. So they've not actually transferred that information to the other generation. But then in your home. And so we look at each other with Dolly and we're like, for how long will we keep saying we can do something?
Yeah.
And yet our own children, it's gotten to them.
Yeah. And this is when we realized that financial education plus tech is what we need to do to drive the impact.
Counter it in the same way. I mean, counter it in the way it's coming to you.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then who better? Her mind, she's finance.
And her mind, she's in tech. That's how it was birthed. That's how we birthed this thing.
Why the name Prosper Path?
It's really literally that. It is your path to prosperity. And the path It's not, you see a path, you know what
Yep.
a path is?
Yep.
It's not a switch.
It's a route.
It's not, it's a
to get-
route.
yes.
Yeah. And the route means time. You spend time, you do stuff, you put energy, effort, and then you get there.
Step at a time.
Step at a time, step at a time until you get there. But there is the prosperous part. Yeah.
And you had done this for people within your own ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you had seen the fruits.
Yeah.
One of them is here.
Oh, I'm Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
I am seated here as Exhibit A. And that's the thing. As in, I am a walking, living testimony of what life can be
Yeah.
if you get the right information at the right time.
Yeah.
Because I started to get the right information at
In your
around
20s.
in my 20s.
Oh.
And that is what a mere 15 years has done to get me here.
Yeah.
And what, from experience, has been is it's been cycles of 3 years, 3 years. I didn't even realize, it's the other day when we were talking, we realized that every 3 years, there's a shift, as in, you know, like this.
There's growth.
There's growth. And it's just that consistency and diligence of doing what needs to be done.
Okay, so you decide. It's one thing to decide. You start looking for venues. You set your eyes on April for something.
Yeah.
Go on with this story.